It all happened a lot of years ago. I was performing at London Soho Theatre. I was doing very well. We had a lot of shows, and suddenly I get a call. And they asked me to do a self-tape. And not to be arrogant or anything, but if you're doing that many shows, especially that show, it was called Sirens. It was physically demanding and also emotionally quite heavy, I want to say. I didn't really fancy doing a self-tape. I was just like, I'm focused on this. But they were like, oh, we really want you to do this self-tape for a commercial for a famous car brand. So of course the ego is flattered and I think of doing it, the self-tape. Now, the problem is when you're doing theater, is that doing commercials is not really something that other theater actors, how should I say this? They kind of look down on you when you're doing commercials as well. So I was like, I'm not gonna tell anyone. I'll just film with a technician. Everyone knew about it in the end because they came in early, whatever. And it was so awkward because it was like a dance audition, but not like, not like this dance, like a modern dance, but it also needed to be sensual. Shall I say it? It just had bad porn vibes. I mean, the lighting was good, so it wasn't that bad of a porn vibe, but still it was very much, and I had my clothes on, like don't even worry about that, but just saying the vibe was that vibe. So I get back in Belgium and they're like, oh, we really want you to do the audition. You don't really need to do anything. Just make sure that you wear an evening dress and lingerie underneath it. And I'm like, okay. And I don't need to prepare anything. They're like, no, 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 nothing. You'll be fine. It is a winter day. I have my robe on me because it's so cold. Then I have the evening dress on and then I have lingerie underneath it. And also I don't look like this. Like I have extensions in, like I'm all done to the T, you know what I mean? Like I come in and these two men that are filming the entire thing are already like giggly in a specific like certain way and I just couldn't really grasp it. So they're like, you did Aikido, right? And I was like, yeah, because that was a course at conservatory that I went to. It was just a regular course there. So I was like, yeah, obviously I can do Aikido. And they're like, oh, great, because we have these wooden swords with us. And it would be great if you can just fight with swords. So I'm like, okay. In walks this co-star to audition with, and he's in his underpants. Now that I think about it, it must have been so awkward also for that man to be there in his underpants. Why are you in your underpants? You know what I mean? Like, oh, they're like, just improvise and don't forget to be sexy and sensual. And we really want to feel that chemistry between you guys. The guy and I, we introduce ourselves to each other. He's really friendly, just sweet and concerned about me. And he's like, oh, are you gonna be fine like doing this on heels? And I'm like, I guess so, buddy. With the Aikido swords, you still have to put pressure on it to make it seem realistic, but he was like, I'll just act because that's what we do. We're actors. So he was very friendly not to put all of his weight on the wooden sword because I'm there not even as a girl, but also on heels. And also in the middle of that scene, they're asking me to undress my evening gown and I'm standing there in lingerie. I can't just be like, you know, it's also, I still need to be presentable, have some sensuality. It all works out fine, somehow. It's still weird, but we managed to do it successfully. I take a little bit longer because I still have to put on my evening gown again and get my ass in it and everything. So I get dressed, I come out again, just ready to leave. And those two men who are filming are like, how much time do you have today? And I'm like, cabrones, en serio. So I'm like, what do you mean? Oh, well, we still have another man that we would love you to audition with and see you with, even though that was not the plan. They didn't put that on the email. It was very much an impulse decision. It was very clear. I'm not trying to be a nagging woman, but it was very, very hard. After half an hour fighting with swords on heels. My arms were like, "Ugh." So I was like ready to go home. It was also so weird. I'd rather not be there any longer in lingerie. You know what I mean? Like, so I was like, okay, I'll do it. And they're like, oh, thank you. It will only take 10 minutes. Well, the first thing was 30 minutes. So I'm already like, will it be 10 minutes? Probably not. So anyway, in comes this creature. I don't even know where to start. He comes in with evil energy. I'm not that person to be spiritually enlightened or something, or not to the point where I'm gonna talk about people's energy, but still he was so, oh, like his energy was like, oh, like go away, go back, like don't enter the room. And so I was like, oh, what is this dude doing here? He had this evil grin in his eyes, and not in a photogenic, cute filmography way. It was just weird as fuck. He really had this thing in his eyes of like, I'm gonna destroy you, and like focused on me and like, destroy you. And I'm like, I'm just here to do these dudes a favor. I was so freaked out because of his vibes. Like, I was just like, oh. So I had a hard time. He was also wearing an underpants, but his underpants looked as if he wore it for 24 consecutive days. You know, do the sword scene. And this was torture. Like, I'm serious, this was torture, because this guy had like this true misogynistic gaze in his eyes that was like, I'm gonna destroy you. His entire body was also shaking when he had the sword. There couldn't be a bigger difference between two guys. The first guy being like, you're in heels, you're in your lingerie, I understand, let's just make the most out of this. And then the second dude that was like, you're in lingerie, I'm gonna fuck. You know what I mean? Just brought something out in me that wanted to compete with him in a weird way, because I was like, this is so unfair, because if I did not have heels on, if I wasn't in this professional setting, I would take him down with that sword. But that's the thing, you're in a professional setting, and also it doesn't even make sense why I would feel those feelings apart from his energy was just like, oh, go away, like, oh, with that evil grin. I'm like, ah. And the worst part about it was that the two guys that were filming were hyping him up. We're hyping him up. Oh, I love that stare that you give her. Yeah, kill her. Meanwhile, I'm there. I'm trying to portray like a sensual woman on heels. Mind you, this is also before Me Too. I should have said that before. Anyway, they were like, oh yeah, we love that look that you give her. And I was there with my wooden sword as well. And I'm just constantly wondering, what car brand is gonna hire this dude? It just didn't make any sense in my head. Anyway, I survived this, okay? 30 minutes go by, and by now I am knackered. I'm done for the day. My body is shaking as well. I'm donezo's, okay? I want to get out of there, but I'm still friendly. I'm not gonna be like, bye, losers. I get dressed again, and it's not even a dressing room. It's just a room without a door even, so everyone can just see me getting dressed there. But this is probably the least of my worries. The misogynistic gaze look guy is standing over there, and I'm just trying to stretch time in order so that I don't have to see him again by walking out, but he's still there. And suddenly I recognize this weird silence. Oh God, something is up, but I'm still choosing to ignore it. I get dressed, go out there. Well, thank you for today. I'm gonna go now, bye. And they're like, so, are you free tomorrow? And I'm like, listen guys, like, it's been fun and all, but I need to go now. And no, I'm not free tomorrow because I have things to do, you know, busy. I always have my own things to do, but you know what I mean? Sometimes you just have to set your boundaries. And I did not want to do this audition again with weird dudes like the dude that was standing there. So I was like, I'm fine, sir. So he goes, oh, because we have a slight problem. And I'm like, yes. And he goes, we kind of deleted the footage. What? And they're like, yeah, it was an accident. We deleted the footage. I have never had that after that. That was the only production ever. And suddenly something clicks in me and I'm like, don't even worry about it. We still have that first take with that, lovely guy. Remember? And they're like, no. So I went back to the dressing room. There was this mirror there standing close to the wall. And I got like a glimpse of my face. I was so frustrated. They broke my spirit. They truly did. Just the thought of doing that again with that psychopathic, I'm gonna kill you. I really had to pump myself up mentally, like, you can do this. And they were from the back like, don't even worry about it. Just do it in lingerie. And I was like, will do, sir. Will do. I get back out there, endure the torture for the second time. We managed to survive it. With we, I mean me and pluralis majestatis. Anyway, I survive it. I get in the car. Whew, it was a hard day. It was a rough day for me. And I'm still wondering, what car brand are they talking about? Like, who wants to hire this dude? And again, with the hyping up of the gays, what is going on? I let go of it. Get a call back from a guy. You're my favorite. You're with the last 3 girls. I don't even believe him. So I'm joking about it. And he's like, no, you really are my favorite. As if it's some sort of Pokemon, like, gotta catch him. What's your favorite Pokemon? And he's telling me about the other girls that I'm up against, which I don't want to know. And this was diversity back in the day. We also have a different girl and she has black to dark brown hair, and then there's you, a redhead, and then we have a blonde girl. And he's like, but don't even worry about the blonde girl, like no one likes her. And I'm like, and so he's talking about me versus the other girl, the black brown haired girl. She's the girlfriend of a famous person in Belgium and I know her. And she's also a dancer, so why doesn't the client just pick the girlfriend of the famous person? It just wouldn't make any sense if, you know what I mean? Like, just a couple of weeks, I think, go by, and then I get a call back, and he's like, I'm so sorry, you're not the girl that the client is choosing. I'm super bummed for you. I really wanted you to get this, but the client just couldn't choose between you or the girlfriend of the famous person, so they just picked the blonde girl. Oh, the one you told me not to worry about. Right. Weeks go by, I'm cleaning the house, the television is on in the background, and suddenly commercials come on and I'm drawn to this one commercial. And I look at the commercial and I'm like, I saw the dude with the creepy gaze, with the 24-day underpants on, in the commercial. Is that him or is that some sort of a look-alike of him? It definitely had the same creepy, misogynistic vibes. And then at the end was the blonde girl with the samurai sword. First of all, nowadays, due to cultural appropriation, this wouldn't even get aired. White people with samurai swords? Like, no, don't do that, please. Second of all, it was not a commercial for a famous car brand. It was a commercial for a very famous deodorant brand catering solely to men. You all know the brand. These men that are lying to me. But it suddenly made sense because that was the reason that they hyped this man up. He was their target audience because it was targeted to men, children that were living in their mom's basement wearing their 28-day unwashed underpants and still wanting to have sex with females and are then surprised why females aren't standing in the line for them. So it just all made a lot of sense. And I was like, oh, that's why. That is why. So anyway, I could give it a place in my heart. Now I really laugh about it, but back in the day, I was so distraught about it. I was just like, what does it all mean? Like, why am I here? In the end, I was very, very happy that I did not have to be on set with people that just have the weirdest energy. And I'm a weird person myself, but when I go on set, I do try to be the best version of myself. So, anyway, I hope you liked laughing at my misery. And yeah, maybe I will come up with another story. Bye.